welcome to the NDTV Auto Show. I'm your host Mugdha Mishra and we have got a packed show for you today. A lot of focus on two-wheelers. We will get you the review of Honda Hornet 125, Aprilia SR175, RE Meteor. We will also get you the walk around of VLF Mobster. But we are not leaving the four-wheelers behind. I went to Scotland to drive the new Audi Q3 coming to India soon. Here is my review. The baby Audi has got a makeover. This is the third generation of Audi Q3 and now it packs a lot more tech and a lot of design changes. Now Q3 is a very significant product in Audi India's portfolio. It used to get them big numbers. In fact, one of the reasons that Audi has lost market share in India is because Q3 became dated, owing to which it lost its sheen compared to its rivals like Mercedes-Benz GLA and BMW X1. Now that it's coming to India in the beginning of next year, the question is, will it again get the same love from Indians that it used to get? Let's find out. The third generation Audi Q3 is based on the Volkswagen Group's MQB Evo platform, shared with other Volkswagen Group vehicles like the Volkswagen Tiguan. Audi has tried to give the new Q3 a fresh look and feel. The front looks completely fresh. The most prominent aspect is this dual setup of the headlamp. The headlamp unit sits below, DRLs on top, and you get a lot of option for the signature DRL. What I also like is the traditional treatment of the grille. It looks very neat, very aggressive, and yet it does not have that light elements. What you do get is this 2D Audi logo, and behind that, neatly tucked in, is the radar for ADAS. You can still see the camera here. Now Q3 is a compact SUV and it has been loved because of its compact size. In this new third generation version, the length has grown slightly longer by 4 centimeters, but the wheelbase and the space inside remains the same. There's a slight slope towards the rear, but we will get a sportback version as well, which will have a more coupe-ish design. The wheels here are 20 inches, but the base variant starts with 17 and India will probably get the 18-inch wheels. I really like the alloys on this unit and I hope Audi brings equally interesting designs to India this time. The rear features OLED tail lamp with multiple customizable signatures, all controllable from the cabin screen. A full-width light bar visually splits the rear in two halves while highlighting the Q3's width. And there are big changes on the inside too. The third generation Q3 gets completely new interiors. We are driving the S-Line, so we have these very cool sporty seats with red stitching in line with the S-Line's character. If you see the center console, there are barely any buttons here because most of the systems, including the gear lever, has now shifted here. I love the execution of this stock. This one column houses the gear selector on one side, while the other side has the controls for the wiper, lights and indicator function. But it's not as complicated as it sounds. It also frees up the center console area, making space for cup holders and cooled wireless charger. But the highlight is this curved display, 11.8-inch digital cockpit for the driver and 12.8-inch infotainment screen. And yes, the good news is that now you get wireless Apple CarPlay as well in the Audi. This is the first product where we will see Audi bringing in wireless Apple CarPlay for India. Now let's quickly check out the second row. Now Q3 is a small compact SUV, but when you sit on the second row, it does not feel as compact, and that's because you have decent amount of leg room. This seat is exactly where I was when I was driving. I'm 5'7", which is what the average Indian height is, and for me, I get decent amount of leg room here. The rear seat can be adjusted, but it's more about creating extra luggage space than enhancing passenger comfort. The luggage compartment has reduced in size compared to the earlier Q3. Now it offers 488 liters of boot space If you fold the second row, you get over 1200 liters and there is enough space under the floorboard to keep your spare wheel. Finally, time to take the Q3 for a drive in Glasgow. The third generation Q3 will be offered with petrol, diesel and even a plug-in hybrid option. The 2-litre turbo petrol engine comes in 3 states of tune: 150 HP, 204 HP and 265 HP, all paired with Audi's 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, while the latter two also feature Quattro. The diesel delivers 150 HP, while the plug-in hybrid produces a combined 272 HP. I'm driving the 265 HP 2-litre engine right now, but the one coming to India is the 204 HP 2-litre engine. This is the same engine we recently drove in the Golf GTI. This is an enthusiastic engine. You push the accelerator pedal and you will feel the surge of power. So much so that in city conditions, you might want to dial it down a bit. Audi Q3 will directly compete with Mercedes GLA and BMW X1. And in this segment, while the other two come with front-wheel drive, Audi Q3 in India will come with Quattro drive. Audi has always paid special attention to lighting, and the new Q3 continues that story with the debut of micro LED headlights. Packed with 25,600 tiny LEDs in a 13mm module, they deliver sharper illumination and better contrast in bad weather. The coolest feature, it projects guidance and warnings like blind spot alert or lane departure directly onto the road ahead in the driver's line of sight. A smart, futuristic feature that enhances safety, especially on highway. The new Q3 comes with modern functional interiors, a smart compact SUV design and a host of advanced tech features that make it stand out in the segment. While India won't get the more powerful 265 HP engine, the tried and tested 204 HP 2-litre TFSI has never left buyers complaining. Expected in the first half of 2026, the new Q3 is now better equipped to take on rivals in the segment.
People seem to love 125cc motorcycles from Honda, especially the Shine nameplate, which has been there in the market for almost 2 decades now. However, the Shine nameplate is often associated with more aged, more matured people. Now, to break those shackles, to break those myths, there's a new motorcycle on the same platform, slightly revised engine and a whole new design and dimension. This, boys and girls, is the Honda Hornet CB125, which essentially takes on the game against TVS Raider, Hero Extreme 125R and the newly launched Bajaj Pulsar 125. Now, does it have what it takes to really capture this young, budding, ever-demanding market? Well, let's find out in today's video. Let's start off with the engine. It's the same 123.9cc single-cylinder air-cooled motor. It pumps out a little more energy. It pumps out a little more power and torque compared to the Shine SP125, translating into 11.1 horsepower, 11.2 Nm of peak torque. But I must say, it does not feel all that exciting. For day-to-day riding, it's manageable. It's purely refined. I think it's one of the most refined motors in the segment. However, it lacks that bite, which I think you feel a little more in the likes of Raider and Extreme 125R. What really helps this motorcycle is overall ergonomics and sense of space. It's one of the big motorcycles in the segment, so to speak, thanks to these extra shrouds on the front and also a bigger fuel tank compared to the rivals. It houses a 12-litre tank here, which means more range with lesser stops. The design, however, is slightly polarizing, especially to this new headlight cluster. It's compartmentalized with lots of cuts and creases and sections. Isn't to my liking, but you can tell me, how do you feel about these? It rides on 17-inch wheels, much like other motorcycles in the segment. However, what's a bit of a damper is the wheelbase. It's slightly on the higher side, 1330mm, the largest in the segment. Kind of impacts the overall handling of the motorcycle. However, what helps or is a saving grace here is the weight of the motorcycle. One of the lightest in the segment, weighs at 124 kilo, 12 kilo lighter than the Extreme 125R. The biting power is quite sharp. The brakes have good anchorage thanks to the single channel with pedal disc brakes. The rear, however, is a drum unit. The seat height is slightly on the higher side, 796 millimeter. So if you are around 5'3", you might feel it to be on the taller side. What doesn't help for shorter riders is also the sense of space on the seat. It's slightly wide, especially towards the pillion section. The rider at the back might not find all that fun, the step seat. The rear seat is slightly smaller than what I would have liked. Things have changed. It's a new 4.2 colored display here and gives you quite a bit of information. In fact, it's a new unit in the house of Honda. Gives you navigation, fuel range, there's tachometer, speedometer, gear position indicator, range, and all the necessary details. And also you can pair your phone here, and all the details can be accessed through this joystick on the left hand side. LED lights along with LED indicators to go with. Overall fit and finish of the motorcycle is decent. It also sounds nice. However, the outright line remains. It's not exciting among the rivals in the segment, but it comes out as a fresh package. You get the assured Honda reliability of a great engine, and largely it's a motorcycle that still riders of different age groups would like. Scooter market in India has long been playing in the 110 to 125cc segment, but suddenly come 2025 festive season, there's a lot of action. Thanks to Hero and TVS making their presence felt with the Zoom 160 and NTORQ 150, now this segment sees renewed presence from different manufacturers. And one of them, this for longest has been one of the performance-oriented, very niche scooter, SR160. For 2025, things have been revised. This one gets a bigger engine. This has become SR175 from Aprilia, the biggest engine in its class. 174.1cc. It makes, well, the numbers are not headline grabbing, but the engine makes 12.9 horsepower, 14.1 Newton meter of peak torque. That's an increment of around 1.5 units over the 160 that was available earlier. On the move, this feels nicely planted thanks to those big wheels, 14-inch wheels shod up front and at the rear, similar section, and this gives a good appeal on the highway. The stability is nice. It's aided by single channel ABS, which means braking is on point as well. The scooter is sizable. The design is more in line with the NTORQ rather than the Zoom or the Aerox, because the frame is quite simple. It's not a spine type frame as used by Yamaha or Hero. It's a regular scooter styling. However, it looks lanky. It's quite sharp, tall. The lines here are also sporty. The color on offer will remind you of the RS457 and the Tuono, and overall fit and finish on this scooter is really nice and premium. In terms of lighting, it gets all LEDs up front. The indicators, however, are basic. These are halogen integrated to the front cowl. There's a lot of gloss black here and there which attracts dust, so keeping it clean will be a bit of an issue. The seat height is somewhat around 780 millimeters. So if you are under 5'2", it might become a little difficult for you to tiptoe. However, the space on offer on the scooter is decent. It's a single seat with a little bit of bulge for the rider, which means you have an extra bit of support for your back if you are venturing on long distance riding. The underseat storage could have been better. The instrumentation, slightly over 5-inch, is color TFT. It's kind of similar to the RS457, the twin from the Aprilia house, and it packs quite a bit of information. However, the scooter is largely simple. It feels quite fast, it's fun. The ride quality is slightly on the stiffer side, however, it's not jarring or harsh. And 14-inch wheels means you are better off on the highways than in the cities. Even in terms of flickability, it's not as agile as 110 or 125cc scooter. However, it feels planted on the highways. The performance is largely good. Speeds of 70-80 kilometers an hour can be maintained for long distances, and given a long stretch of open road, you can also whack the throttle open to over 100 kilometers an hour. So largely the scooter has been revised. The engine is the heart of the matter. It looks bulky, it looks big, and I think if Aprilia increases its presence countrywide, the SR175 with its pricing, the sweet spot lies with the pricing roughly around 1.25 lakh rupees, like showroom, much lower than the Aerox and Zoom 160, can appeal to a different set of customers.
You might know what a mobster means, but can you imagine how does it translate to a two-wheeler? Well, this is the VLF Mobster 135, launched at 1.30 lakh rupees for the first 2500 customers. Without any delay, let's start from the design highlights of the Mobster 135. If you look at the overall design, it gets a uniquely aggressive, sporty and carries a lean muscular figure. The LED headlight and DRL add up further to the Mobster's quotient. Inheriting the raw and aggressive statement, the Mobster is also loaded, giving space for segment first features. VLF Mobster 135 में आपको मिल जाते हैं all LED setup consisting of LED twin beam headlamps, DRLs, indicators and tail lights. Also, it has an aluminum switch gear and keyless ignition. अगर बात करें फीचर्स की तो Mobster 135 में आपको मिल जाता है 5 इंच का TFT पैनल which is enabled with Bluetooth connectivity for navigation. Just so that the Mobster behaves on the road, it gets segment first features like switchable dual channel ABS, traction control, dual gas charged rear shock absorbers and more. Also, the 120 mm seat height and 155 mm ground clearance contributes to a comfortable ride. बात करें इंजन की तो Mobster 135 में आपको मिल जाता है एक 125 सीसी का लिक्विड कूल्ड इंजन जो कि देता है आपको 12.1 bhp का पावर और 11.7 Nm का टॉर्क। अब आप सोच रहे होंगे कि जब इस स्कूटर का नाम Mobster 135 है तो why does it have a 125cc unit? Well, this is because VLF has carried the European nomenclature that insists considering the power output rather than the cubic capacity for naming the vehicle. Available in 4 color options including Crimson Override, Ghostline, Ash Circuit and Neon Venom, the Mobster might suit your desire to own an adventure scooter without burning a hole in your pocket. With this, do let us know how do you feel about the newly launched VLF Mobster 135.
Hey folks, welcome back to NDTV Auto, and I have got something very exciting for the cruiser fans. It is the 2025 Meteor 350. Now why this bike excites me? It has a reason. This is the first update of the bike since its launch, and it comes with some very meaningful updates that improve the convenience of the rider. So let's take a look at them. What are they? Now the first of these updates is in the front of the bike, that is the headlamp. The brand has removed the halogen unit with an LED unit for the headlight, which definitely improves its looks and the practicality. We'll come to that later. The same update has been made to the indicators. The indicators are also now LED unit, which obviously improves the look and the illumination. Similarly, the use of LED units in the headlight has improved the illumination by multiple folds. Now at night when you look at it, it definitely gives you a better view of what is in front of you. Now the other important update is in the feature list of the bike. The brand has now added the Tripper pod to all the variants of the bike, that are Stellar, Aurora, Supernova and Fireball. Earlier it was only available in the higher variants. Now having experienced it already, I can tell you that it is one of the most needed features. This means now you don't have to glance your phone while you are riding in a tricky situation in a city, especially at the unknown locations. Now while we are talking about comfort and convenience, it is important to mention that the higher variants have now received adjustable clutch and brake levers. The variant that I have with me doesn't get those, but the higher variants get it. And let me tell you, it is important while you are riding in the traffic, because obviously in those situations you will prioritize your comfort. Now getting to the heart of the matter, the engine. While the Meteor carries its trusted 349cc single cylinder air cooled engine, and it is still tuned to put out 20 bhp of power and 27 Nm of torque while being paired with a 5-speed gearbox. But what has changed? The change is, now it gets a slipper and assist clutch, which definitely helps in smoother transitioning between gears. Now when you are riding, you will definitely appreciate this feature. While the focus has been on comfort and convenience, being Royal Enfield, the brand did not forget about the looks. The brand has added a few new color options to the bike. The one we have here is the vibrant orange, but there is also a cool blue, classic reds, understated grey and a bold black for the Supernova variant. The Stellar variant now gets a blacked out exhaust for those who like a rather custom and stealthy vibe. Now it doesn't end there for the looks. The brand has also given a boost to its Make It Yours program, which lets you customize your Meteor. So you can get factory accessories like mirrors, seats or even windscreens for your Meteor. This helps you customize your bike so that you can build a bike that is truly yours. Now what's truly impressive is that all of this is offered at a really competitive price. Thanks to the new GST updates, the bike now comes at a price of 1.91 lakh. And well, that was all about the new Meteor. Let us know if you want to know more about the bike. You can ask your question in the comments. I'm your host Amulya and thanks for tuning in.
Well, that's all for today on the NDTV Auto Show. I hope you liked the show. Do give us your feedback on our YouTube channel NDTV Auto, and don't forget to subscribe and press that bell icon so that you get notified every time we upload a video. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform. I will see you next week. Till then, take care, drive safe, bye bye.